everybody. We're letting everybody in who's waiting in our Zoom room now. Welcome. What do you think of our temporary setup, huh? We're looking good, I think. Okay, so we're letting folks into our Zoom room. Welcome to all of you who are joining us right now. We'll give it a little bit because we know we have lots of people who also join us during the hour, but it is 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, and that means it is time for another session of Life Amplified. Hello, everybody. It is August. Welcome to our temporary studio setup, i.e. the other half of Jennifer's office. And welcome to our guest speaker, Dana. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Finally in person. Last month, Dana was with us on Zoom, and she's nice enough to come to our temporary studio setup. And we'll talk to you in a minute, but we've got some standard introductions that we do. So we're going to welcome everyone in for our session of Life Amplified. We meet every Wednesday. I almost said Tuesday. Oh my gosh. How long? We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and I almost said Tuesday. Every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Zoom and TikTok. We've got TikTok down there for our friends behind the scenes. How are you? And we post every Friday to YouTube. So if you are watching this recording, hi to all of you as well. But consider joining us live one Wednesday so that you can get in on the fun and be interactive with us. Life Amplified is brought to you by Amputee Aid. Amputee Aid is a 501c3 nonprofit located right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, serving folks all over the country. And because some of our friends have moved into Canada, we've got a couple of clients in Canada as well. I'm going to do my best to follow the camera. I just noticed, everyone, if you're joining us live on Zoom, we have a setup where we can see you. Our camera is over here. And so I'm going to try to look, I'm going to be looking both ways. I'm trying to do that thing like when you're on a video call and you're looking at yourself and not at the thing. Sorry, everybody. Let me see if I can look at you this way, even though you're over here. All right. As I was saying, Life Amplified is brought to you by Amputee Aid as a 501c3 nonprofit. One of the many things that we do is provide advocacy, outreach, and education. That's where you are right now. We are providing education, but hopefully some entertainment as well. For those of you who are regulars to Life Amplified, you know a couple of things I'm about to say next. Number one, we always expect folks to trickle in our Zoom room and join us on TikTok during the hour. They might be getting a break from work, sneaking in a break at work, joining us from the car. Don't be driving and texting, but you're welcome to join us from the car during your work day or your at-home day, or coming from another group. That's totally fine. We will do our best to monitor the waiting room and let folks come in to our session as we go along. We are fortunate to have Nick behind the screen doing all of that for us. Nick will also be monitoring the chat. Although we can see the chat, it's a little tiny screen for us. And my glasses, I'm not sure they're that strong, but we'll do our best, okay? But Nick is behind the screen, and Nick will be monitoring the chat. Related to that, Kim has already got us started. Thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate it. Another thing we like to do at Life Amplified is know where you are coming to us from. Tell us how the weather is in your area. It's still our summer series for Life Amplified, but at least here in the Pittsburgh area, there's just a little twinge of fall time coming. You can tell in the morning, right? So tell us where you're coming to us from and how the weather is in your area.
Today is what we call a migraine day.
A migraine day.
I took an Imitrex before coming here because the barometric pressure is high.
There you go. Yes. If you are a migraine sufferer or person living with migraine, check the barometric pressure on your iPhone app every morning.
I had a twinge in my eye, and I knew it was coming today.
Okay. All right. So tell us where you're coming to us from and how the weather is in your area. Related to that, I have another thing I would like you all to share in the chat. And if you're watching this recording on YouTube, you can participate too. Put in the comments down below this video where you're coming to us from. But I'm curious to know, since we are doing a summer fun series, that is what we've called June, July, and August series for Life Amplified, Summer Fun. And we've been kind of sprinkling in some summer vacation topics and some like what's your favorite thing to do in the summer, what's your favorite summer barbecue food. I would like to know, what is your favorite summer activity? Okay. Are you a read by the beach? Are you a gardener? Do you like going to the baseball games? So start telling me in the chat, what are your favorite summer activity? And I promise this is relevant in some ways to our conversation today. We're talking about mental health and cancer survivorship. And part of this is taking care of yourself and doing things that you enjoy. So I would like to know, what do you like to do? I see Canada's in the house. I know we have Indiana in the house. Got a couple of people from Canada. Hi, Canada. Muggy here in Canada. Oh, Lord. Okay. Tell us where you're coming to us from, how the weather is in your area, and what your favorite summer activity is. For me, growing up, It was playing at my grandfather's house, okay? And he used to do this thing. So I have a twin sister. If you've been here for a while, you know I have a twin sister. My grandpa would...
That explains so much.
Yes. Does it? Does it? Ooh, I'm getting psychoanalyzed. We haven't even started, Dana. My grandpa used to do this thing where he would throw change into the front yard, and he would have us go and look for it. Yeah. But he would tell us, like, there's 5 quarters, but there was only 4. Mm-hmm. So then we would spend, like, all this time as 2 little kids outside looking for 5 quarters. Yeah, genius, right? Okay, so tell us where you're coming to us from. I see, let's see, kayaking. You love kayaking. Yes. Hi, Lori. Good to see you, Lori. I see Tracy's in there from Toronto, Canada as well. Hi to all of our friends joining us live. So tell us, engage with us in the chat, okay? Favorite summer activity, where you're coming to us from, and what the weather is like in your area. All right, before we transition into talking more with Dana and about our topic, let me give you a couple of reminders on our webinar. This is a live recording, okay? So some of you are joining us live on Zoom and TikTok. Some of you are watching our recording on YouTube. For those of you joining us live, the recording will capture your voice. It does not capture your pictures. We can see your pictures. We can see your emojis. We can read your chat. None of that is captured. So you're welcome to come off of mute at any time and chat with us live, but just know that the recording will capture your voice. I'm okay with that. I'll talk all day long if you let me. Some people are like, I don't really want my voice on the internet. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to have your voice captured,
or if your voice is worth a lot of money, you might not want to share it with us, right?
Yeah, because we can't afford your fee.
We can't afford it.
Okay,
if J-Lo's on here or something.
Yeah, J-Lo, hit me up later for a donation. Yeah. But we cannot. We got nonprofit dollars, okay, which is free $99, $0. So, but if you don't mind, we would love to engage with you. Ask us questions. Interrupt. We will interrupt all the time, okay? We would love to hear from you, especially on this topic, because we know that many of you joining us live and watching the recording have had a cancer journey. Even if you haven't, Dana, there are things that everyone can learn. Yep. Right? So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, but just to know that we are recording our webinar, and you coming off of mute, we're going to capture your voice, but we would love for you to do that, okay, to all of our almost 20 people who are joining us live now on Zoom. Hi to all of you. Florida's in the house. Hello. Being in the pool. Yes. Love being in the pool. All right. So, second thing I want to remind you all of is this is a safe space for everybody. All right. So, come as you are, but also be mindful that there are lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds with all kinds of journeys and preferences and triggers and things that they care about. So this is probably not the space to talk about very serious medical issues that might be triggering to some people. Also not the space to get into a political conversation or something that would just maybe derail our conversation. Use your best judgment, okay? Everyone is raised by someone. This is the time to be kind and welcoming to everybody. That being said, we would love to hear from you. So if you have a very serious issue that you want to discuss, please reach out for help separately. If you are working with Amputee Aid, you know how to reach us. If you're not, info@amputee-aid.com. And I venture to say everybody needs this, but if you're looking for mental health treatment, counseling, supportive services, Dana will tell you how to reach Calm Pittsburgh, but also how to find resources in your state or something that's more available to you, okay? So second thing to keep in mind is this is a safe, welcoming space for everyone. Third thing I will say, and then we will introduce our topic and why we're here today, is because we are recording and because this is a welcome, safe space for everyone, this is not the time to talk about your personal information. So do not, please, don't be putting your birthday and your social security number and all your bank information, not any personal disclosed information, although we would love to learn more about you if you have a cancer journey or a particular thing that you want to share. Just be mindful that this is a public forum, so use your best judgment on what you share and how you share it, okay, everyone? All right, so I said that we are doing our Summer Fun series for June, July, and August. We're coming to the end of summer, and for August, we have a secondary theme, which is 101, education. We're learning things, okay? Back to school series is what we've called it. Learning things all month long. And we've talked about mental health in the past with Calm Pittsburgh. Calm Pittsburgh has been with us several times. Scroll our YouTube page and you'll see lots of recordings, including one recently with Dana on intimacy, all right? We asked Dana to come back today, though, to talk about cancer journeys from a mental health perspective. But as I mentioned, Dana, there are takeaways that everyone can have from our conversation whether or not you are someone who has gone through a cancer journey. You might know someone in your family, your friend circle, your supportive circle, but even if you have not had that experience yet, everybody can learn from this discussion. You know what? I was looking at myself on the screen and I realized I forgot one thing. How could you guys let me forget this? The giveaway. Oh my gosh. Okay. We also promised during the summer that we were doing a giveaway all summer long, every Wednesday. And so here's what the rules are for the giveaway, everyone. We're not doing the number game. We have Nick with us behind the screen, so nobody has to stress out about doing the number game. We are going to draw a winner at the end of our webinar. So in order to get in on the webinar, TikTok friends, you've got to get on over to Zoom, scroll our page for the login information. It's completely free to join from your browser or your phone. You can get on to Zoom. Our Zoom friends, you've got to be here until the end of the hour, so around 3 o'clock Eastern time, the next 45-ish minutes. Stick around. We're going to draw a name at the end for someone to win our giveaway. Nick will be taking down the names of everyone who is joining us. Okay? All right. The giveaway this time is another candle from Fontana Candle Company. These are Woodwick. They're super expensive, fancy candles. And because we are headed
they
toward...
flicker, right?
They flicker.
Woodwicks do that.
Yes, they flicker.
As a person with ADHD, it's very satisfying.
There you go. And I was just going to ask you from a mental health perspective if it's something that can calm you down, maybe? All right. It's relevant. It's relevant to our conversation today. Yes. But because I said earlier, there's a twinge of fall in the air, this scent is harvest apple. Okay, so somebody's going to win this simply by sticking around until the top of the hour and being on Zoom. Nick is writing down all of your names, and we'll draw the winner. Dana brought some swag with us, and one of them is something that we love here at Amputee Aid, which are pens that have a spinner on them. If you're someone who fidgets or you just need to fidget, we're going to drop some of these pens in there too. And they're nice, really good quality pens. These are the pens that you steal and hope nobody steals from you. Yeah. Okay, yep. I got a whole bunch of them on my desk. Okay, so sorry. I can't believe I forgot the giveaway. All right, if you know me, you know I love giveaways, so I'm disappointed in myself for forgetting that.
You got there, it's okay.
But I'm also very happy for myself because I was able to get you to come back.
Yeah.
And we love Calm Pittsburgh, okay? Calm Pittsburgh is a supporter of Amputee Aid, and not only do we don't just have a counselor, a professional, we have the owner. Okay, we have the kind of the bigwig at Calm Pittsburgh, right? You don't sing your praises enough, so I will do it for you. Okay,
Thank you.
We have somebody with a lot of experience, but also a business owner and someone who supports and supervises other people in the mental health field. That's Dana. Okay, so Dana, now that I've got to set the stage, first introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll talk about your topic.
So my name's Dana Kirkpatrick. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm also a nationally certified counselor, an American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, which is called ASECT. I'm certified through them as a sex therapist and a sex therapy supervisor, and then also internationally through IBOSP, which is the International Board of Sexuality Professionals. But one of the things I always like to start with is I do own a thriving practice, and it's wonderful, and all the things are great. Unfortunately, the reason I had to start it, though, is because I'm a cancer survivor, and I had cancer at 31, and we don't call it amputation, but I will say amputations of, I had a double mastectomy. I was a contractor, so I didn't have insurance, and, like you all know, working and being sick, not really accommodating.
Yeah.
They'll accommodate for kids. I had kids. Kids, they'll accommodate for, but, the constant issues that you need appointments and things like that, it was really hard for me to work at another job.
Yeah.
So I started my own place, and everybody who works there is an employee. They have sick time because we have we had sick time anyways, but here in the city of Pittsburgh, we require 72 hours of sick time for everybody, and that's very important to me, and my goal is to be one of my employees at this point.
There you go.
But, it is a very wonderful thing, but it comes from a place of trauma. So, that's where I always like to, acknowledge that is I grew up, I didn't have money. My dad was laid off constantly. My mom was sick. Her sister died of cancer. We took her kids in. My mom had breast cancer. And I was Poppy Girl of the city of Pittsburgh, which I'll show you a picture at some point, because I took those, every opportunity I could just to, be out and connecting with people.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, the city was my safe space. Yeah. So, then falling into mental health, of course, I've worked in this field because I always wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And I minored in sign language, and one of the issues I obviously just couldn't keep my mouth shut. So, so now, but I working with mental health, and then I started with kids with autism, and then, to me, once I got diagnosed with cancer, it was horrible, but it's also so relatable. That's the issue that we see that's polarizing is it is relatable. Everybody knows somebody with cancer. You know me.
Yes.
Done. Right? But I'm not the only one, right? But amputees, not everybody knows an amputee. So if you're in that space, you're very othered. And so then you enter into this space where it's not othered. So we see that a lot with people where they're like, but I wasn't getting any attention when I was going through my POTS diagnosis. But now that I got diagnosed with cancer, oh my God, I'm on this track and people are paying attention to me, people care. And that's because people associate cancer with death. So it's a different thing. I'm diabetic. Nobody's gives you attention for diabetes. They think that you caused it.
I'm interested in that. I know you have a presentation.
Oh, I from some of the
and we can pull
questions
that up.
and stuff.
Yeah, we'll pull that up as we're getting started. But you mentioned two things that I want to kind of touch upon as we're getting into your presentation. The first is, and I would love to see some comments in the chat about this, is how many folks who are people living with diabetes sometimes feel like you've caused your amputation in some way. I can tell you that my grandmother, as a bilateral below knee amputee who was also diabetic, was treated that way.
My grandfather
caused it. And I also, you used an important word to me, which is trauma. And so I want to say that up front. Everyone, please keep in mind, we're talking a lot about cancer, and sometimes the conversations that we have are lighthearted, and that's on purpose because we want you to smile a little bit. We by no means want you to think that we're taking this topic lightly, but also be aware that as we're getting into this presentation, some of the conversations that we're having that might be hard for you, and if they are, pause but come back, okay? Because we'll be talking about some things that you might be freshly experiencing, or that might bring up some memories. Is that right?
Yes. Also, I always like to acknowledge this. Don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. I'm 48 years old. My mom was diagnosed when I was 5 years old. I was diagnosed when I was 31 years old. So I have a ton of experience. It's been 17 years since I had cancer. I have the BRCA gene. I've been in this space. So what we also have to acknowledge is shock and grief. So I noticed that a lot. Same as you've had this where we both have experience in our family. But if something were to happen to you, you would go through shock. You may have a different learning curve because you have experience. But sometimes that's doubly worse, right? When it happens to you. And that's something we see I have a friend who's a therapist like myself going through a divorce. And that's hard, right? When you face something in your own world.
So last thing I'll say, and then I'd love to turn it over to you for this presentation, is everybody keep in mind our conversation is for educational and informational purposes only. Nobody say that Dana is your therapist.
And I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor at all. So that's, it's only anecdotal.
This is for educational, and we will find resources and experts in your area if you are looking for more specific treatment for yourself. Okay, everyone? All right, I'll take my executive director hat off now, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Dana, to tell us more about this topic.
Thanks. It's when the body carries an extraordinary load. That's what I was thinking, sometimes we do this where it makes it feel heavy, right? But I also like to think that my body is pretty badass. So, how to look at these, when we have, so any person who's in this space who's had an amputation, there's no way that that's your only diagnosis. There's just not. So now you've entered into this compound world where all of a sudden okay, you were taking a statin, no big deal, right? Now, oh my God, you take a statin and you're an amputee. It's this compounding. And then each of those identities affect you. So you talked about your father, your grandfather. My grandfather was a World War II vet. He was a CB in the Army. He was a city firefighter in the most dangerous part of the city. And then he got gangrene after diabetes and lost his leg. Being disabled from falling in a fire was one thing. Losing a leg infantilized him. So that trauma, a lot of times, some people handle it differently. So looking at that, it is why me, right? So when I talk a lot of times about, sex, being a sex therapist, it's really easy for me to pivot to any kind of trauma, race, cultural issues, because if you have sexual issues, usually you have trauma. If you have trauma, you've suffered grief. So like these are all, so when you go through the space that you're entering in, I assume you've had trauma, grief, and that you're going through this right now. Like, because how could you not?
Yeah. And am I right to understand that you don't want to, in some ways, compartmentalize, you are just an amputee or you are just a cancer survivor.
Yes.
You can be all of the things all of the time, all at once.
Yes.
And because of that experience, you go about the world in a unique way.
Yes.
Got it.
Absolutely. It's the issue of being dynamic.
Got it.
So, I am a cancer survivor. And some days I am only 5% cancer survivor. Mm-hmm. Rarely am I less than 5% cancer survivor. But some days like today, I'm like 40% cancer survivor, right? I'm advocating in this way, and then I advocate in other ways. I'm doing some other stuff. So like it's looking at that. But when you're first going through this, you can't envision that. Like when I was first diagnosed with cancer, at first I was like, oh, I'm going to use this and help people. And then I was like, oh, not yet. I'm too mad. Mm-hmm. So it's that idea of like grief, because you really have to focus on the grief of it too. And like you said, trauma. These are, when we're using these words, I'm using these words as context, not as a diagnosis. So we're not talking about PTSD in the sense of you're having constant like flashbacks, things like this. This is, I am a trauma survivor. Why? Because I had 9 surgeries within a year, and I have reactions to the medical environment.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because you're not supposed to have 9 surgeries in a year.
Yeah.
That's just, it's what is typical, what's non-typical. So looking at that, if any of you are in that space, you have to just give yourself the permission to be non-typical.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want to be identified as an amputee, but you also want to be, defining what you are.
Yeah.
So, I said medical PTSD.
We can go to the next slide,
I was going to say, yeah.
We
If you want to go to the next one, yeah. So, I use this as an example on myself because, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2009. The pandemic hit in 2020. So I didn't recognize any of my trauma till I was at Costco. And all of a sudden, I started having a panic attack. And I didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden, it hit me when I got into the car, because I did my therapy thing of like, what was I exposed to? It was blah, 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 blah. Everybody was wearing masks. It would have been the first time, because I had seen a couple times where people were wearing masks. And then I was like, what's the issue? Because it's not a breathing issue. Oh, it's a hospital issue. Okay.
Got it.
That's what it was. When's the last time I was facing people with masks?
Yeah.
It's when I'm in this submissive space.
Yeah.
And so my trauma becomes very submissive space. So looking at how that intersects for you, because it could be a loss of, your autonomy, or it could be the complex trauma that goes with it.
Yeah.
So my goal as a therapist is not for it to go away. It's for you to recognize it, take note of it, and say, I'll see you later.
So am I right then that people, whether you are thinking about your amputation or your cancer journey or both, I think sometimes there's this assumption that the reactions will be worse closer to the event. But actually, you could go several weeks, months, years, and then suddenly something happens that kind of triggers that.
Yeah. You know what I get mad about? It's silly. Yeah. It's really silly. Is like, and this sounds really, and I'm saying like, this is just, I'm 48 years old. Most of my peers are doing well enough to either have their loans paid off for student loans. Some people even have like lake houses, camps, things like that. My cancer tanked us financially. So it's always that reminder of like, I've done the same, because people say, I worked really hard. And I think, yeah, we worked really hard. But like, it's that, like, I get angry sometimes where I'm like, no, I got to live, right? I'm lucky to be alive. But it's also, it puts you back at certain points. So you have to recognize that your peers that you were running with at that point, they may be different, but that's also, I'm only noticing those, right? I didn't name the ones who are divorced or doing worse, right? Because you're always looking up.
Yeah.
So recognizing like, you didn't think about it till you watched your child jump on the trampoline, and all of a sudden, that's something.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be brief with this. My mom died 3 years ago, and my dad started dating someone, which is wonderful, because my mother was sick for my whole life. And we're going to a wedding this weekend, and my dad's girlfriend had said, oh, are you going to bring a swimsuit, because we're going to be swimming? And I had this flood of just like envy and then sadness, because all of a sudden I went through I can't remember my mom ever swimming with my dad. And it's because she didn't. So like looking at, it's the sadness of the ability a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's the happy picture that really revs, like, you know, with my cancer friends, a lot of it's when their hair grows back in and they get a good picture. And they'll say, oh, that would be my funeral picture. So understanding it's the yin yang of it, right?
Got it.
It's the peaks and valleys. So,
Okay.
you know, you're going to have really fun moments, but it's also going to be, because we've been treated like main characters sometimes, then you're like, oh, this is the picture that they'll take at Amputee Aid and put me up, right?
Yes.
And you're like, no, I don't want that. So,
Yeah. But in
it's-
addition to that, you can also experience
Yeah.
generalized anxiety.
Yes.
So tell us more about
Yes.
that.
So generalized anxiety, you know, I always think of like a lot of these things when we're looking, does it affect your daily life? Are you able to leave the home? Are you able to think about things sleep, go to the bathroom, all these kind of like basic things, not that are affected by your amputee status. So looking at like, you know, my waking up more in the night because I have distress, I'm having physical symptoms of anxiety. Worrying about a doctor's appointment, getting on a flight, those are normal things. But if you're having heart palpitations because the idea of going to the hospital is causing you tremendous anxiety, those are things to, you know, to address, because I say this as a cancer survivor, I don't want to be put under. I know a lot of people do because, you know, they say it's a good sleep. Me, it's not. I throw up for a long time afterwards. My stomach I'll have like all these issues. So, you know, I'm 48. You have to colonoscopy. I'm afraid of colonoscopy, so I poop in a box. And no one talks about like, it's not just for people like, because you see an ad, it's like anxiety provoking.
Yeah.
So looking at like, is it causing anxiety in the sense of getting in the way of something that you could do? Like that's an alternative route to treat my anxiety, not, oh, I have to go for treatment and medication to even address this idea. Does that make sense? So it's like looking, and when I'm talking to a lot of patients in these situations, my goal is not for you to listen to me and do something different. My goal is for you to have your own critical thinking skills for this space. Because I think what happens is we're traumatized. So then you can't, like, your critical thinking skills to say, what can I do? You just start listening to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like I wanted to go to the bottom of that slide here. If we can go back one slide to the tell. It seems like one thing that I'm learning, Dana, is for someone that's going through a cancer journey, grief is normal and healthy.
Yes.
The issue is, are you stuck in it or is it moving through? Can you tell us more about that? The bottom of your slide that you have.
So grief moves in a healthy, emotional, and static. That goes static. Frozen in distress is the flag.
Okay.
CPTSD. So I had a client who, we have a lot of people with PTSD. Those are a lot of times like exposure to constant trauma, or like I had somebody who had 7 miscarriages, and again, somebody else could have 7 miscarriages and not have complex PTSD. It's that you can't move away from it daily. So it's a really like, it's a very hard place for your brain to, and your body doesn't match. So that's where you need something more than talk therapy. But grief, if you want to go to the next slide. So looking at grief, you know, I always there's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes through it, and it's like, he's angry, then he's in denial, then he's in depression, then, you know, it goes very linear. That's not how it is. It dips and bows up like this. So especially with any kind of medical diagnosis that you did not cause, right? I didn't do anything to get cancer. We don't do things to get any amputations. So you go in this. I'll ask people, where do you live a lot of times in this place? I live in the bargaining a lot of times. Like, if I would have done this, could I have not done this? If I would have listened to this, would I have done this? Or the anger of like, this just isn't fair. Like, it's not fair that this happens to me or somebody else, and I see this jerk walking around all healthy, right? So and I always tell people, Dr. Mangala died at 88, you know, swimming in the ocean after being part of genocide of millions of people. So there is no rhyme or reason to a lot of these things. So this gives us this like place to just kind of go, and acceptance it doesn't close the loop. This isn't a loop. So you might bounce back and forth. So, you know, looking at these communities, I see this in the cancer community, is sometimes being in the community causes you to go back into this grief spiral because somebody has something better than you did. Like, None of my friends had the same surgery as me. A lot of them have way better surgeries. And sometimes when I go back into cancer space, I go back into this bargaining or depression.
I was going to say, and everyone who's watching us live or even on our YouTube recording, you don't have to out yourself and share publicly, but I would challenge you to do two things right now. First, screenshot this slide because you're going to want to have this as a reminder, okay? It's not a point A to point B.
Yep.
But second, I want you to think about times where you have been along somewhere in here. Are you in the bargaining stage? Are you in the denial? Are you in the acceptance of your life as an amputee or as a cancer survivor? But also, have you had times where you've compared yourself to someone else and that has put you back maybe somewhere?
Yes.
Maybe one of your friends has had the newest and greatest cancer treatment and you're like, well, dang, I can't afford that. So you go back to anger.
At cancer camp last year, it was a wheelchair. Somebody had a wheelchair that was like $30,000.
Yeah.
They wanted to know where they got it. But the other thing I want you to pay attention as patients when you're going into doctor's offices, who do they treat better? They treat the bargaining, the depression, the acceptance and the denial people a little bit better than they treat the angry people. They treat them, and sometimes the depression people, right? Because you're crying. I have clients who doctors have said, why are you crying? You're alive. Come on. Like,
Oof.
that, so what happens is you're trying to emote, but you're in these spaces that are very antagonistic sometimes. So then when you do emote, you sound angry. Oh, God forbid if you're a different color or you're, I don't mean a different color. I mean you're non-white or you're tall or you have an accent, then they're going to label you as as angry. If you ask for alternatives, they might say you're bargaining or you're difficult. So it's looking at you have to be aware of these are going to come. And so it's really sucks because I want you to be able to just go in and doctors understand you. The reality is they don't. And a lot of doctors come from a lot of different places. So it's better to just be succinct.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about, and then let's go to the next slide, is, again, you don't have to out yourself, everyone who's joining us, but just think about this and answer in your own head. How many times have you been told or made to feel like, well, you should just be grateful.
Yes.
You survived. Be happy.
Yep.
or you've only lost one leg or one arm.
You still have another. You have two kids. You have this.
I bet a lot of you are like, I've heard that. And it doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel worse in some ways. Along that, you start getting angry.
Or at least, if somebody says, well, at least you have this. At least, that it's, what is the intention? A lot of times people's intention is to do something kind. The problem is, we've been taught dismissiveness is kindness.
Yeah.
It's not pull up your bootstraps.
Yeah.
Well, that, I used this in a training last week. Bootstraps is privilege. Mm-hmm. We forget about that. We keep saying pull up your bootstraps. Well, not everybody has bootstraps. Not everybody has boots.
Right.
So the idea that you could just suck it up, right? Yeah. That is very easy when you can suck it up into your warm car and your warm clothes and your air conditioned home that has a garage, and that you have a partner waiting for you that has health insurance with no copays.
Right.
So understanding these difficulties, is, I like to just have people, because you're going to be angry. If you're not angry, you're not living in this space. Mm-hmm. Or if you're not angry, you're really, really rich, and I want to meat you because.
So do I. We need a donation.
But yes, we'll have some private jet. But body image. This is something coming up. I like to address this, especially in the breast cancer community. I had double D's. I was very much defined by my boobs, which I didn't. I was very self-conscious about. My friend Raj, who grew up in India and is her religion is Jain, which is they have a very she didn't grow up with mirrors. They teach you to not, your body is just a vessel. Mm-hmm. So when, going through breast cancer, she going flat, me not, it was not even idea, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're getting into this space of amputation, that it's negative in its own, there's nothing positive about amputation. Mm-hmm. So getting to that idea of we're not going to buy that, sip the Kool-Aid of it's negative. We're going to say it's neutral. Okay, my body has suffered a loss. Where can I find this neutrality where I can, I don't look at my breasts and be like, oh my God, I love them. But I didn't love them before, if I'm honest about it, right? It's just, how can I be like, they service what they're supposed to do. They feel
Yeah.
okay. What is this thing that I could deal? What does my body do for me that I can have neutral feelings? Because we see this. I have this as a sex therapist. I have people that want to come in and they want to talk. They want to have a good sexual relationship, and they hate their body. So you don't have to love your body to have a good relationship with it. Because you just have to have a relationship with it, whereas like sometimes you love it, sometimes you don't. What parts do you like? What parts are working? And I think especially going through this journey, you're so hyper-focused on loss and pain and negativity. So we want to look at like neutrality. And then, how you experience your loss through the world. I think it's very important. I bring that up about Raj and with her permission, because we talk about the way people approach Raj about, oh my God, in your breast, you're wasting your time on her. Whereas maybe, and not even me right now, but other people maybe, right? So it's like looking at having you define what this means. Not that somebody's going to be, losing, a limb, no biggie, right? But, it's this like, what is this for you? How are you feeling? Like, my grandfather, he was a firefighter. He was a CB in World War II. He used his legs all the time. So that was like a loss of his machismo, like a lot of that like masculinity. So looking at, where can I always tell people, I work in the trans community a lot. I have a lot of trans men who I save, I have a client that we joke, like, I save my water bottle movement and stuff like that because he wants to do manly things, right? So, like, where are these manly things if that's your loss? Like, how can we build that up? Because we see this where people they don't have any body neutrality because their body isn't theirs. It's like, I always use the example for breast cancer. If you would say, oh, Dana, my friend had a surgery like that. And I'd be like, oh, do you want to see Jennifer? Because I've been taught to dissociate from my body. And so we're working on how to, like, again, honor your body. Yeah. And then, like, these little things, like, the textures. Right now I have a hairband on my fingers because I like the feeling of things on my, just fidgeting. So it's like, what are the things I can like instead of this, like, all the grand stuff.
I want to bring back that point about neutrality, not positivity. I think we find, and again, you don't have to answer out loud. Nick is monitoring the chat. We can't see the chat right now, so if you have comments, please let Nick know if you want him to read them or come off of mute. Oh, none of us can see the comments right now. Okay, come off of mute if you really want to say your comment, or wait until the end. We'd love to hear from you. But you can answer this just for yourself, whether you're watching us live or watching our recording on YouTube. How many times have you felt like, well, I'm supposed to, quote, air quotes, I'm supposed to be positive about my prosthetic device, when really I don't feel that way. And then you start feeling guilty. When really maybe a better approach, a healthier approach, is to be neutral about your body. Okay, let's go on to the next slide.
Neutral, and then also how to accept it, because I say this, when I was going through my own cancer journey, the therapist at the hospital was very well intentioned, and I had told her, like, can you check on me or whatever. I was getting chemotherapy, and she came to sit next to me just like this, and she said, oh, how are you doing? And I said, I'm good. And she said, okay, let me know if you need anything. And if she would have just said, you have 2 little kids and I'm talking to you through chemotherapy. I think it's like we give people the answers they want sometimes. And sometimes you just have to state the facts to yourself. Like, and so you can just give yourself that space to be like, because I see it now where I look at women, and I mean, just my younger versions, right? Where I'm like, that woman's 31 years old and has 2 little kids going through cancer. And I'm like, wait, I did that too. It's like, how do we give that like permission to give ourselves that permission? The spoon theory. Okay. Now, I mentioned when we started our discussion that there are things that everyone can take away. Even if you are not someone who's lived with cancer or know someone who has. One of them is the spoon theory. What is the spoon theory? So if anybody's a Swiftie on here, Taylor talks about like capitalizing on energy. So that's really what, like, the spoon theory is. The idea is you're given 10 spoons every morning when you wake up. And each spoon, like, it takes so many spoons to do different energies. But for you decide what that is. So like for me, I'll just use it, like coming downtown, parking downtown, being here, meeting with you. It gives me 3 spoons because I feed off of this. My husband, it would take away 6 spoons. So it's this idea of like, where can you consider, I feed off of this, I'll be good to meet with my clients later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other people would be like, oh, I'm going to use all my spoons today.
Yeah.
So looking at like, what does it take? Sometimes taking the garbage out takes 2 spoons, but changing the channel takes 4 spoons, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really a way for you to conceptualize what it is for each need. But with couples that I work with, a lot of times it's like, how do you gain spoons? How do you, like, where do you gain it? Where do you leave them? Because it's working in that compromise. So like in the case of like amputees or other people that are going through complex medical issues, people want to help you with things.
Yeah.
And they want to help you with these things that you don't need help with. So that's where I kind of will do the spoons. I'll be like, you know what I really need help with? I need somebody to like logistically help me sign up for this thing.
Yeah.
Making phone calls,
Yeah.
9 spoons for me.
Yeah.
Not if you would have said, oh, all you have to do to get here is make a phone call, I'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm on Zoom.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
So that it's the idea of like what that is for you, and then how can you like relate that and how it's changed. Because going to the store, and I'm saying this, my relationship to, I'm only comparing, is like when you have a very young toddler, you can't leave them in the car.
Yeah.
So going to the store takes a little bit more spoons than just walking out, getting something,
Yeah.
coming back in.
Yeah.
So the same thing as, with amputees, like whatever that is, whether it's, do I want to go out, I'm going to go to Kennywood, or like a amusement park today, and I'm going to see 5 people are going to ask me why I'm in a wheelchair, why I have this thing,
Yeah.
or can I run? Now it takes me about 5 spoons.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to see kids.
Yeah.
And play with my nephew, and that's going to give me 6 spoons.
Yeah.
And they have corn dogs. So it's really like
and they have corn dogs.
recognizing those things. So there's
Yeah.
really good journals about spoon theory and like how to like, give yourself that like ownership of what it means to you. And so
Yeah.
like you'll hear the expression like I'm out of spoons.
Yeah.
So a lot of my people like me that are ADHD, we like tangible things. So it gives you a way to like Weight Watchers points. It's
Yeah.
like your Weight Watchers points for
I was just thinking about that as
energy.
like a way of
Yeah.
Weight Watcher points
Yeah.
for your energy, or just being more mindful of
Yes.
how much it exhausts you or how much you take in
Yes.
based on the activity you're doing. The other
especially
thing I like
the
about
change from
Yeah.
medical stuff. Yeah, being in a waiting room is a lot. Is
A lot of
anxiety
foods.
provoking sometimes.
I
Yeah.
also like this idea that there's only so many spoons you have in a day,
Yes.
and it's okay. Like,
Yes.
you don't have to be everything to everybody
Yep.
all of the time from the moment you wake up until the moment you go
Yep.
to bed.
Yep.
It's okay to acknowledge that your energy is finite,
Yes.
and based on where you are in your medical journey, it will look different.
Yep. And no matter where you are, it's finite.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have been
Yeah.
operating on energy we don't have.
Yeah.
And part of it is, and I can attest to, I just fired myself from my admin team yesterday.
Okay.
I said, there's going to be a fire. I didn't want to scare them, but I said, I
Yeah.
just want to let you know I'm resigning from the admin team because I'm causing problems, because
Yeah.
I want to keep my practice, like do my therapy and all this stuff. But part of it is I can see where I'm out burning myself based on things that 20-something Dana could do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's looking at like where you are, which is really hard to gauge people. It's really, and I think with amputees, you're fast-tracked into this space.
Yeah.
So like, I had a conversation with my husband a couple weeks ago because he's 50. And I said, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. Your time of going up ladders has ended. Like, that's not happening anymore. That's, that's tough for him because like he could do that, right? But he doesn't have the spoons for it. He just doesn't know it.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to be in charge of other people's energy, or acknowledging like holidays. Oh, holidays use a lot of spoons
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you gain them if you like your family, or maybe from your in-laws. So it's really just utilizing them. I'm thinking right now for myself, I have a genetics test that anybody who, even my past self would be like, what's the big deal? You just spit it in a tube. No, I have to call this genetics company
Yeah.
and get to see how much it cost
Yes.
for me to get an updated genetics test. But then I have to call another, because then they want me to get a hematology test, but I have to call a hematologist. And like, it's a lot of spoon. I would
Yeah.
rather do, if you say like there's somebody that's going to jump off a building, I'd be like, I will do that for 8 hours straight
Yeah.
and negotiate
Yeah.
that because I feel confident.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. And if
Yeah.
you're entering into this space, again, you're here, then you're dealing with medical issues, which means you're dealing with insurance, except if you're in Canada, lucky you. But, a lot of the issues are, we have to recognize we're in a capitalism
Yeah.
society. So
Yeah.
we are taught more,
Yeah.
and recovery better. So,
Yeah.
that's, medicine and capitalism don't really work
Yeah.
together except with
Yeah.
payments.
And I like this point that you have on the
Yeah.
slide before we go to the next
Yeah.
one, which is learning to delegate aggressively. I think that is a skill
Yes.
that we could all use, but I
Yes.
think also for folks who have some medical issues is be okay delegating.
Yes. Yes.
Delegate tasks that
Yes.
take too many spoons.
Yes.
Would you suggest, and then Nick, I think we can probably go to the next
Yeah.
slide, but would you suggest maybe folks who are trying to figure out this spoon theory or try it out on themselves, could they like keep a journal throughout
Yes.
the day? Like if you, maybe you all try this. If you've never
Yeah.
done the spoon theory, get yourself a sheet of paper for the day and just write down, this is how much it cost me.
How are you going to allocate it? Yeah. And how do you
Yeah.
get stuff back?
That's so interesting. Okay, tell us
Because I
about
think
that.
that's the other thing too, is like it's making sure you know what you can to get things back.
Yeah.
I went to Dave and Buster's last week with my friend whose niece was in town because I love playing games and I don't have the money to go to a casino.
Right.
Right? So it's like these are, I got some spoons back from
Yeah.
that. So these are just, looking at touch. I wanted to put this in here because sometimes like with the spoon theory, using touch in that space too. Because I have sheets I'll send you for
Okay.
like, there's journals about spoon theory, but also like I see a lot of people that are touch starved because, with sexual stress or even just medical stress. So a lot of people, as you go to doctors, like I was saying about being dissociated, you're going to this space where people are like, your body is like being touched or in a different way. So like, I like to have people give permission of like, what kind of touches are you getting? Because we see this again as like touch, not touch.
Yeah.
No, affectionate touch, not sexual, but affectionate, like lingering hugs, rubbing, things like that. Sensual that are not like more of a massage. Things that if you look into their, your window, it would be, okay, they're not roommates. Playful. Like in this, again, this is based on like sexual, but I always think of a lot of these things are like how we interact with children. Are
Yeah.
you playful? Do you like to give rubbing their back? Like it's that same thing of like,
Yeah.
but I mean, obviously without the other stuff,
Yeah.
but looking at like, these types of touch and what are you missing or not missing? Because once you've been through a trauma with surgery,
Yeah.
a lot of times the focus becomes on function.
Yeah.
Can you have sex? Can you orgasm? Can you feel touch? Not how do you feel? Like,
Yeah.
does this, like, do
And
you
is it
feel
enjoyable?
okay? Yes. Is this enjoyable? So that's something I met with somebody who's doing a study for cancer patients, and she asked me to be on her panel. I tore apart every question because I didn't mean to, but I said, if you're dealing with cancer patients and you're going to ask them questions about sexuality or touch, so her questions were like, how is your sex life? I thought, oh geez, that's
Yeah.
forever. You need to
Yeah.
say, is this like, are you experiencing pleasure? Do you have pain? Do you
Yeah.
have, does your body feel different than before?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
really kind of, having that
Yeah,
space.
a thought I
Yeah.
have here as we're going to the next slide is, for mental health in general, in a non-sexual context, is using touch as a way to get back into your body as opposed to your body is being examined all of
Yes,
the time. That's
yes.
kind of the idea, is trying to reacquainting with yourself
Yes.
based on what you enjoy. Is it a massage? Is it somebody
Yes.
shaking your hand? Is it somebody hugging
Is
you?
it weight?
it
I
weight?
count a lot. I watch a lot of people who, as they're on video sessions with me, they have cats or dogs on them.
Yeah.
And I'll say, instead of like, you don't have to worry about touch. How about just using weight?
Yeah.
You're just laying with your,
Yeah.
your arm on each other
Yeah.
or something like that.
That's kind of what we're talking
Yes.
about here
Yeah.
with this. So tell us more about this.
So, this is Sensei Focus is a therapy practice that was discovered through Masters and Johnson, who were the first people that started sex therapy. There's a show called Masters of Sex, which is really good. But one of the things that's interesting is, so Virginia Johnson herself suffered from anxiety, and when she was a kid, her mom would touch her face.
Okay.
And if you do that, like just even if you touch your face, you'll feel like little nerve stimulation, right? You get
Yeah.
like a little bit of relaxation.
Okay, somebody else try this on a Zoom. even
So
though
like
we
you
can't
just
see
do that, anything like that, you're going to, so what she discovered was through that touch, they helped treat erectile dysfunction because
Interesting.
it wasn't medical. It was anxiety based. So getting going through the Sensate Focus exercise, we start with really touching like how you like to be touched. So I always use the example of like, I have never had any molestation, anything like that, but I don't like this tickling. I grew up in an Italian family, so I got a lot of like grabbing, rubbing,
Yeah.
things like that. So I will say, that's my touch that I like. But then also, around my amputations here, this does not feel good, like on my ribs. So understanding what that this might be a safer space for me than my ribs. So it's about having autonomy. But one of the other things, so mindful awareness is like, so you're you don't want to be doing it, you're feeling it. It's having your like texture experience. The same with food. Like you would, kind of how you would like, what does it feel like? Ooh, my skin there's goosebumps from this touch. There's blood flow. I'm getting red.
Yeah.
It's looking at that through the scientific lens, which also helps you like give your permission of like your body is working, right?
Interesting.
Yes. So then just taking intercourse, if that's a stress, taking that off of like the expectation and working on what these other sensory experiences are. We see a lot of people, they have nerve damage, right? So they have, hot and cold sensation. So it's about getting the bed warm, getting the space warm, looking at your outer parts. Because I think that's the other thing that happens is you go in these doctor's appointments and you're getting like constantly internally looked at in some way or coldly looked at. So this is kind of taking off that pressure of that. And then, the I statements. This feels good to me. I like this. I keep doing this because I want to show too is handwriting.
Yeah.
So we would show like if you want to touch somebody. So say if I was very sensitive here, I could use my hand and have my spouse's hand on top of me and show him that way, or use his hand underneath and show that way.
Yeah.
So again, it's very much deliberate consent. Excuse me, because your consent not intentionally has been violated, but it has been in the medical sense.
Yeah.
Because you can't consent to all of these things because they're so complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also thinking for our amputee friends is being open to communicating whether, and if so, how you want your residual limb to be touched.
Yes.
Are you
absolutely.
comfortable? Are you not comfortable with it? And not being afraid to say that, right, Dana?
Yes.
Okay.
I say this too is like I want people to not see anyone what you're coming in as. Like you don't want to be seen as an amputee, but you are. So you have to like acknowledge like, hey,
10 minutes, okay.
I don't like this being touched, or I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's
you can
go to the next slide.
Yeah. Topping from the bottom, that's just an expression. So like that you have control. Like I always think that.
Yeah.
It's in the kink world. Giving yourself permission to pause and focus on survival or comfort. Like I have visual timers at home, which if any of you like are familiar with, it just shows time passage through visually.
Yeah.
So like giving yourself like little tasks, because your old self, if you compare yourself, comparison is the thief of joy. So if you say, oh, I used to be able to do this. Okay, well, bullshit, you can't do it now. So give yourself some time.
Yeah.
And then, looking out to reach out to people when you need support. There's support here.
Yeah.
I'm a therapist. There's many therapists.
Yeah.
And there's many therapists that have intersections like myself in different areas.
Yeah.
So you can go to the next one too, because I think we could probably speed through. Yeah, your body has not failed you. It's navigating an extraordinary load.
I love this.
Yes.
I love this.
And this is we use the new normal, right? Because you're not going to be there. I can't grow my breasts back. You can't grow your limbs back.
Yeah.
We have to accept. It's a radical acceptance about that.
Radical acceptance. In
Yes.
some ways, not denying that you had a cancer journey.
Yes.
But also not being defined by it.
No. And you get to be defined by whatever you want to
Yeah.
be. So like it's that, I use cancer to empower other people using my journey. But again, it's taken me, I've done my work to do that, and I still struggle with that.
So I'm going to give you a question here, and then we
Yeah.
can go back to our guests who are joining us live.
Yeah, and then we're
There's
good.
Calm
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's information. We'll share
Yes.
that with the recording, and we're
Yes.
going to recite it before we
Yes.
end.
We also have free therapy for anybody who's out of state, or if you have Medicaid or have any barriers. It's a great way to train our therapists too, and they're all fantastic therapists.
Yeah.
We're very diverse and deal
Yeah.
with all of the issues.
Keep that in mind. Now, I want to see if there are any questions that anyone has or suggestions or comments that you would like to make in the time that we have left. But as we're looking for that, and Nick is going to help us look for that, Dana, I have a question for you, which is, what is I'm going to try to use the word intervention. I don't think that's the right word.
Okay.
What are some tips that you can give for folks to practice this radical acceptance? Like, should they put sticky notes on their bathroom mirror?
Yes.
Like, what are the kinds of things that people
So I have a positive folder.
Okay.
Where like even today I will write this down and be like, I met with Jennifer, because no matter what I think about myself, I have to externalize and say, well, I respect you.
Yeah.
And if you respect me, then I have to like myself, right?
Yes.
So giving yourself like a positive, like what I have an email folder those, Post-its are great. Part of the issue that we're dealing with in the virtual world is we don't have these tangible reminders everywhere.
Yeah.
So save pictures, do the things, like have a folder of positive anything.
Yes.
But give yourself the reminder too of like give yourself the permission to externalize yourself and say,
Yes.
if I was a person, would I be kind to that person?
Yeah.
And usually you're kinder to the, I've been kinder to every stranger I've met on the street today than I probably am to myself.
I bet everyone goes through that. Be as kind to yourself as you are to the stranger on the street, your child that you're taking care of, your family member, the person at the
cashier at Target. I always say be as nice as, because I see people that are just not kind.
Yeah.
Or your future self. I always think if I borrowed your car, I would make sure you had gas in the morning, right? Because I wouldn't want you to wake up and not have gas.
Yeah.
But for me, I'll be like, I'll do it in the morning. No, future Dana would like to get gas in the morning. So be kind to your future self, even if you can't be kind to your current self.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Second question I have for you, and then I think we're kind of coming up near the end of our hour already.
Yeah.
Is it's a two-part question. First, where do people find you? What's your website, that kind of thing. But second, what are some signs for folks that maybe they're not just experiencing a normal grief process, but what they're experiencing really warrants some professional interventions? What are some things that we would look for?
So as a professional, I would say, everybody in this situation should be getting some kind of care you can, just even group therapy.
Yeah.
Because I have ADHD. I take medication for ADHD. I see a therapist. I see her actually tomorrow, because that's something I need to make sure I do, because ADHD affects me in different ways, right? So for yourselves, getting used to this space, because the other thing is most of the people that see me for therapy see me because the people in their lives don't go to therapy. So one of the things that you have to recognize as an amputee is that you're carrying the weight of everybody in your life who worries about you. So sometimes it's better for you to go to therapy just to deal with their shit and then give you boundaries so that you have a space. My therapist will say, she's my container. Because then I can give that somewhere, and it's non-judgmental. If I'm afraid of dying or afraid of something happening or whatever thing, she can listen to that and doesn't dismiss me or get affected by it, where people in my life might. So, that's part of it. The other thing is, when the grief is affecting you, or again, you're having physical symptoms, you can't sleep, again, if it's affordable, you should be in care just because you're in the space. But just to have somebody to connect with, because you're not alone. And that's the other thing, is this makes you feel really alone. Even as a cancer survivor, I went to all these appointments when I was 31, and people would talk to my mom. Because, I was young. So, it's that you're always going to feel othered because you are othered in this space. So if you are an amputee who also has some intersection of, you are non-white, you are LGBT, you are an immigrant, all of those things come so blaringly obvious in your space, so that's also renders a need for some support. So pulling from those other communities, making sure Amputee Aid is here because you're an amputee. There's cancer care for all these other things. So making sure, be redundant, get as much care as you can, go to as much free yoga as you can, do all the things.
And don't be ashamed of it.
Don't be ashamed.
Your
That's why it's
mental
here.
health is just as important as your physical
Yes.
health. Okay.
If not more so, because that's what will keep you going.
Yes. Now, where do people find more information about Calm
So,
Pittsburgh?
Calm Pittsburgh our website is calmpittsburgh.com. And we have, info on there. We have a bunch of therapists that are licensed in the state of PA. A couple of them are licensed elsewhere. We have a dietitian who she's also has ADHD and works really well in the neurodiverse space. Also because of with amputees and other people that we see that have complications, our digestive systems that get complicated. She's licensed in other states. And then we have Raj Shah, who also, like myself, is a cancer survivor. She's a pelvic floor therapist. And I was going to have, she'll probably come here one day.
Wonderful.
Because, again, we learn so much from crowdsourcing this information. So that's kind of and if anybody has any questions, my personal email, it's dana@calmpittsburgh.com.
There you go.
So you can always message me if you have questions. I'm a great person to consult with, but I'm, it's hard to see me as a therapist, but that's the other thing is our therapists are all great.
All great
Yeah.
and all approachable.
Yes.
We put the contact information in the chat for those of you joining us live. We'll
Yes.
also include it in the comments down below with our YouTube
Yes.
video. And we will always send out all the information on Friday's email blast with our recording. So much to take in. As I said when we got started, something for everybody. I'm going to try the spoon theory. I'm going to monitor throughout the
And
day.
embrace it. I think that's the thing is like leaning in is the key, because me waking up this morning and saying I don't have a migraine, I'd be on the floor here.
Yeah.
So I had to acknowledge like this is going to happen today.
Yes.
I'm going to have extra stuff that I'm not used to. I have to take my meds. And you know what? I'll go home and maybe I'll take a little nap and then I'll work because I have to live and feed myself.
Yeah.
And that dictates what we can do and what we can't do, right?
Yeah.
So be kind to yourself, because if I was thinking for Dana, I might not have done those things.
Yeah.
But I was like, I have to be here for Jen,
Yeah.
you know? And that's
Be kind
we
to
have change
yourself.
that. Yes.
Be kind for yourself, and
Yes.
if you can't, be kind for somebody else
Yes.
who cares about you.
Yes.
I hope that you all learned some things today during our session. I love to see all the engagement in the chat. Feel free to reach out to Dana or to Amputee Aid with other questions or comments. And as a thank you for being here, we're now going to do our giveaway. Okay. So Nick, do you have our? Let me get it. Hold on. I'm not connected to a mic, so I can walk.
I'm witnessing. It's completely blind.
Yeah,
no one knows.
Right. We didn't. They're
It's
not
a socket,
they're all different
pocket,
names.
socket.
Okay, so we
socket.
got our little fake socket here, and we put everybody's names in for joining. So I'll pull the name. There's a lot in there. See, okay, we're keeping me honest. There's a lot of them in there, right? You pull one out.
Oh, Jesus, socket's
Can you get it in there? Okay, and let's see. Let's see if you can read the name first. We'll see who wins our candle and our Calm Pittsburgh pens.
Naomi.
Naomi. Okay, is Naomi still here? You got to be here. You got to be present to win. We're going to see if Naomi is still here. Naomi, if you are here, put your contact information in the chat because, oh no, she's not here. Naomi's not here. They are not here. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to track down Naomi so that we can reach out to Naomi and introduce ourselves. We'll draw one more because you've got to be present to win. Okay, so let's see who wins this time.
Jeff Surgeon.
Jeff! Okay, is Jeff still here? Congratulations, Jeff! Yay! Okay, Jeff, I've got your contact information, so I will reach out to you.
Jeff left. Okay.
Okay. Oh, Jeff left also?
Jeff left.
I swear he was just a second ago.
Oh, no!
Jeff left.
We're going to keep ourselves honest. I'm so sorry, Jeff. Okay, hold on. Third time's a
Listen,
charm.
don't mess with my ADHD. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll be driving to
Because we
somebody's
cut
house.
people longer. We know that they love you.
Esteban.
Esteban! Okay, is Esteban still here? Oh no.
Oh my gosh. This is going to start getting
Okay.
dicey.
We're gonna we told everyone you've got to be present to win. So that's a thank you for sticking around to the end. Okay, Dana. Now who's there? Fourth time's a charm.
Lynn DeCola.
Lynn. Okay, is Lynn still here? Lynn's our amputee coach. She's super busy during the day, but hopefully she was able to stick around with us for a little bit. Is she here?
Everybody left.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Everybody, this is not a knock on Lynn. We love Lynn. We got some of Lynn's friends on here. Don't tell her she won. I don't want her to get upset. Okay.
This is my bad luck.
Hold on.
Listen.
I know, Dana. Maybe I should be drawing
Seriously,
these.
right?
Okay. Okay, let's see that one.
Uh,
Is Van Gregory still
Van
with us?
Gregory?
Van Gregory. Okay. Van Gregory's still here.
Okay.
Congratulations. Woo! Okay. All right. Anybody joining us live, and maybe Nick can cut this out of the recording. Don't tell the other people that they won. Okay?
I'll just.
Yeah, that did not happen. Okay, Nick will cut that out of the recording. Okay, Van Gregory, I'm going to reach out to you so I can get your mailing information. These pens are super, super cool. You can take them when you do all your mentor trips and everything else. Van Gregory is very well known in the amputee community. All of you are, and we love that you spend your Wednesday afternoon with us. Next week, we are continuing our back to school series, our summer fun sessions, back to school. We're talking Travel 101. And I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad sign because I was about to say next week we're doing 3 giveaways. Hopefully we have 3 winners. Next week we're going to be getting your tips.
You might have to pull halfway through.
I know. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull him we're going to do 3 times throughout the hour. So you'll have 3 times to win, but you got to stay during the time. We're talking all things travel. Some of this is stuff that you all know. We want
I'm
you
going to have
educate
to bring a
our
sex
other
toy at
people.
some point, and then maybe they'll stay till the end.
Yeah, maybe they'll stay to the end. But next time Dana comes back, we'll have some adult toys.
Yes.
Maybe you'll stick around. All right. But for now, it's the candle and the pens. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another session of Life
Thank you for
Amplified.
having me.
Thank you for coming from Dana from
Thank you,
Calm
Dana.
Pittsburgh and sticking around a little bit longer this session. We'd love to see you back next Wednesday, August 19th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Zoom and TikTok, or you can watch the recording Fridays on YouTube. We're continuing our Back to School series, talking all things Travel 101, today Mental Health and Cancer Journey 101. We hope you all learned a lot, but mostly we want you to take care of yourself. Enjoy the beginning of next week, the end of this week. You can come back next Wednesday, Travel 101. Thank you, Dana, for being with us. Bye, everyone. Remember, together we can restore hope and reclaim life. Bye.